Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. We are gathering for coffee with Casper. We're glad to see you this morning. There's the Casper. We're gathering. I'm Harry Morgan Moses, and in about a minute and a half, we're going to gong ourselves in and spend 20 minutes together to find out how we can let that light within us shine just a little brighter and bring more good into our world. Let me know where you are. I see we got New York tuning in already this morning. How beautiful. Nice to see you this morning. Good job. Oh, Casper, you're out of the shot. There you are. You're back in the shot. Attaboy. Attaboy. Good morning from Palm Desert. Good morning from beautiful Hollywood. Beautiful, glamorous Hollywood. We're glad to see you this morning. Hey, hey, hey! From Long Island, New York. We love it. We love it. We love it. Hola from Hawaii. Aloha. Hola would be for our friends in Mexico. Aloha from Hawaii. Nice to see you this morning. And beautiful. Hey, Debbie from Albuquerque. Well, we're checking in already from all over. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you for being with us this morning, for letting your light shine. Yay, yay, yay. That's a beautiful thing. In just a second, we're going to gong ourselves in. Good morning from Texas. All right. Boy, we're gathering from all over the place. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Light workers, you can begin to feel the planet lighting up, right? The little beacons of light all over the planet here. That's a beautiful thing. Good morning from Boise, Dave. Nice to see you this morning. All righty. Casper was just anxious to get up. There's our 8:30. Let's gong ourselves in and see what we can discover to heal, uplift, inspire, and bring forth more life. Here we go. Everybody take a deep breath in. Let out the sound ah. Ah. We'll do that one more time. Big deep breath in. Let out the sound ah. And then let that energy come up into your heart center. Relax and breathe. And just give yourself this 20 minutes. Good morning from Arizona. Give you this 20 minutes to tune in and let your light shine. Actually, of course, everybody is a vibrating emanation of the One, as we already know. And what we do with our thoughts, words, and attitudes will affect how bright that light is shining, how much it's emanating out. And of course, the more light we bring to the world, the more enlightened the world becomes, yes? And the more lightened up the world becomes. And that's really what we want to talk about today. Here in the United States, we're coming up on a November election just in a few weeks. And all of the news, at least from this country, is about these polarized points of view. And meanwhile, people are afraid, naturally so, and inflation is rising, not only in this country, but in other countries around the world, including our friends in Europe as well. And so we can look out into the world, and if we look out into the world, we could easily become frightened. And again, one of the things we know as people who are conscious of their connection to the One, and this is Coffee with Casper. We're talking really to light workers, to people who know there is one life, one presence, one energy belonging to all people. Energy and matter are equal and interchangeable, and everybody is that energy. So that refers back to the dedication that Ernest Holmes, the wonderful philosopher, wrote in the book called The Science of Mind. He says, these lessons are dedicated to that truth which frees man from himself and enables him to see through the mist into an eternal and changeless reality. Hi, Luz. Nice to see you from Burbank this morning. Upstate South Carolina is checking in. All right. We got more than one from Boise. We got two from Boise with our friends. The Loretta and Dave are here from Boise. Missy Grant is with us from North Carolina. Nice to see you all this morning. So this seeing through the mist is what we as souls on a journey have come to do, to remember who we are in the midst of everything. Voltaire said a long time ago, God is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. We as metaphysicians have used this many places. Center is everywhere and circumference is nowhere. But here, it's really, I really like the the concept that Barbara Marx Hubbard was very clear about, which is the spiraling nature of the universe as it's expanding. And as you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about the conch shells. So here at the very center, as it wraps around itself and unfolds into the outer levels, and we see the outer levels are tougher and harder and protective, yes? And that's where we are in the world. We are discovering that there is this center within us that is unfolding out. And if we put too much attention on the out, what appears to be the circumference or the outermost part of our lives, we're going to get disturbed by the waves, by the turbulence that is out there. And this is where we really need to learn, the wonderful prayer of surrender. And that's really what I want to address today, is there's a big difference between surrendering and giving up, right? We are not losing our hope for humanity. What we realize, just as the Master did thousands of years ago, is the consciousness of forgiveness is essential. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And we could look out into the world and see people living from their egoic selves, from their greed, from their selfishness, from their anger, from their rage, from their righteous indignation. And wherever we see those behaviors, we're always repelled. We can feel the upsetness and the anger. And sometimes that upsetness grabs us and then has us functioning out here on the outer edge, forgetting who we are. Deep within, wrapped within us, is always that center, which is a perfect peace in the midst of it all. And it is only surrendering to that perfect center, that is the I am that I am at the very center of my being, that I can begin to know who and what I am as an immortal spiritual being. I am an immortal spiritual being, superior to my mind, to my body, and to my experience. I am an immortal spiritual being, superior to my mind, to my body, and to my experience. Now, when we say that beautiful statement, that one came from Roy Eugene Davis, one of the great New Thought teachers of this century. When we say that affirmation, there's no one says you don't have a mind, nobody says you don't have a body, nobody says you don't have an experience. It says who you are is greater than your mind, your body, and your experience. And that's where we as spiritual practitioners, people who recognize that I am one with the one, and take the time through a daily practice. And our daily practice is very simple. If you have a tradition from which your heritage is from, or perhaps you identified with, and then you have a lot of rituals and rules and positions that you need to assume in order to feel that you're connecting to the one, well, that's fine. However, what we know is that the infinite is everywhere present. Its center is everywhere. Its circumference is nowhere. And so if I can touch that center within myself through the daily practice of quieting my mind, because we know the human being has 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and 98% of them are repetitive. They're just circling around. And many people identify with those, what the Buddhists called as monkey mind thoughts, what we would call, Judge Thomas Troward called the neurotic thought patterns of human beings. They tend to repeat themselves endlessly. And so it is only through that quieting of the mind, through our daily meditations, just quieting the mind and becoming still. I use a mantra meditation. The mantra that I use is I am. And I have found over maybe 25 years of that mantra that just saying that statement brings me to a more peaceful place. Just saying I am brings me to a more peaceful place within myself. Now, when the turbulence of the world is moving so fast, that's why we have affirmations, so that when a turbulence strikes us and sometimes frightens us or causes us to be jolted, that we find something comforting that we can say to ourselves. For example, that wonderful affirmation we use here all the time, good and more good is mine. There's no limit to the good that is mine. Everywhere we go, I see this good, I feel it. It crowds itself against me. Good and more good is mine. It is so good to remember there is no limit to the good, and that the turbulence in the outer world does not have to change your good. You can recognize the turbulence in the outer world. You can have compassion for the turbulence in the outer world, but you don't need to be caught up in all the turbulence of the turbulence. Yes? We can notice the turbulence. There's a wonderful practitioner many, many years ago. She was a friend of Ernest Holmes and part of those original students in the early 1900s here in Southern California. And she had been practicing meditation and centering and affirmation, affirmative prayer for many, many years. And one day I was greeting her, and it was a heat wave going on. And I said, "Wow, can you believe how hot it is outside?" And she very peacefully looked at me and she said, "I am aware of the heat, but I seek not to dwell on it." Right? So we can be aware of the turbulence of the world. We can have compassion for the turbulence of the world. We can even have concern about the turbulence of the world without losing our center. We can know and have hope and kindness in our hearts for humanity. What we've been saying for a long time, since we've been coming through the pandemic, is this is the time for humanity, since we've been through the big reset, to come out of the reset. We were forced to cocoon. We were forced to stay in. We were forced to keep a distance from one another. We were forced for a long time. Janine's asking something about Ventura Papke, who was a wonderful, wonderful teacher. But no, I was thinking of Patricia Turnbull, but very similar kind of consciousness. So this is where we are. This is where we are as light workers. Because if we get caught up and believe that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, which is the expression people have used in the past, and you think about that, it's going to hell in a handbasket, that means that people are carrying in their hands the basket that's going the wrong way, right? Well, you and I are of a different intention. Our intention is not to watch the world go away. Our intention is to hold faith in the world and to hold faith in the new generations that are coming up and to make room in our consciousness to honor the wisdom from wherever it is emerging. That's ours to do, and to include everyone in the tent, every race, every creed, every color, every way of being, to really begin to be the place where we celebrate humanity as an expression of the divine. And that then we have the opportunity then, if all of humanity is an expression of the divine, then I am part of humanity, then I am an expression of the divine. And now we know that, and now we can turn attention to exploring the glory and the goodness and the beauty of what is the divine, and therefore what am I as an expression of the divine. I am the whole complete. Remember that wonderful quote we've been sharing from Ernest Holmes for a few weeks now. Incarnated within each of us is not only a divine spark, but an incarnation of the living cosmos itself. What if you took the time to relax, to get deeper enough that you can daily ask yourself, what is it to be an expression of the one? A whole holographic slice of the one, where the universe is within me. In here is a life and a life and a life and a life, and it's expanding out. And I am that divine center expanding out. And what if I really took the time on a daily basis to contact that great mystery, that great awe, and that great presence which is in you and as you and with you? It is your true and eternal nature. And if we do that, and I know we are, each one of you wonderful souls here tuning in, you're practicing, you're looking, you're opening your mind to discover, to stay in the mystery of the magic of the glory of who you are. To stay in the mystery and the magic of the glory of who you are. This past June, I had to say goodbye to a dear friend of mine who was 96 when he finally let go. And even in those last weeks of his life, he's conscious and present. And he was concerned that surrendering to that divine self of himself would be a giving up. And there's a big difference between surrendering to the awe and mystery of your own soul and giving up. Surrendering to the mystery of your own soul is to invite that mystery, to invite that goodness, to invite that beauty into your life in a daily and on a daily basis. To remember who you are so that you don't get caught up in the turbulence of the world and believe and lose hope and faith, even beyond hope, losing faith in humanity. No. Some of us here have children and grandchildren, and we need to have faith in humanity. We need to know that we can continue to bring our wisdom even as the new generations are bringing their wisdom. And let that wisdom begin to come into the heart of every generation in the tent, of every way of being in the tent. Let us discover the mystical and the magical and the glory of every human being and every way of being, and to stay in that magic. At least touch it on a daily basis. You know, we get caught up in our to-do list and are not paying as much attention to our to-be list, right? And it's to be and do, not to just do. And because if we just do, we're exhausted. We can never catch up. And as Gilda Radner said through her character in the 1970s, Roseanne, there's always something. If we get caught up in the world, we will notice there is always something. And indeed, there's always something. Here in our home that we've lived in for 18 years, we had to replace the heating and air conditioning system. Well, when that happened, just before that happened, some pipes underneath the cement broke. So then we had broken pipes, and then we had water coming into the living room, and then we had to redo the system, and then we did all of that work. We did all of that, had all of that repaired, worked through all of those negotiations, finance did all of those things, and then we discovered the propane tank is empty. And they no longer have local offices, so you're dealing with the computer to try to get the propane tank. I mean, no matter who you are, no matter what your world situation is, you notice there is always something to do in the world, yes? There's always something to do in the world. But if I know who I am am seeking to bring that divine center within me, that brilliance of the divine, the brilliance of the one, the amazing intelligence of infinite intelligence. I'm seeking to open myself in it and as it and with it, to be an avenue through which that intelligence is coming into the world. And then it looks like, in the midst of all the turbulence in the world, it looks like your world is going just fine. And that's okay. Do you know it's okay to let your world go just fine, even in the midst of the world's confusion? It's okay for you to allow your good to come to you, even in the midst of the world's confusion. And as we allow our good to come in, as we begin to celebrate with joy and gratitude the very beingness of our own selves, we find that we can help the world. We can help other people. We can be an avenue through which light is shining, through which love is touched, through which joy is revealed, through which laughter begins to unfold. That's who you are at the center of your being. And that's who you are practicing by watching Coffee with Casper, because all we're doing with Coffee with Casper is linking up people who are conscious of their unity with the one, of their belonging to the one, with each other, so that we can let our lights shine, so that we can let our inner peace touch each other and open each other and bring forth a greater good to each other. And then we notice in our field of vibration more and more love, more and more light, more and more joy, and we would wish everybody, welcome to this wonderful field of vibration that we are creating through our dedication and practice and our awareness. As Mary Baker Eddy said, by standing porter to the door of our own thought and watching, paying attention to where we're dwelling, so that we're dwelling in the house of the love and the light and the truth and the wisdom and the peace and the poise and the power and the grace of the One. And there's no way to do that by constantly participating in the outer world, where it's rocky and bumpy and hard and non-forgiving. And yet inside, there is this beautiful and beauty and beauty and beauty and beauty. The deeper you go inside, the more beautiful the colors, the more beautiful what's revealed, the more beautiful you can see. So we are working from the inside out. And that's all we're doing. So if you're getting something beneficial from our time together on this Tuesday morning or 24/7 on YouTube or Facebook, share it. Invite people to watch it, like it, link it, post it, put it in your electronic groups, put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your Facebook, put it on your YouTube. Connect people to it. And let's get more and more of us practicing and reminding each other on this weekly basis of the great magnificence of who and what we are. And actually touching in it, vibing into it together. So that's what we're doing. We're waking up to the glory of who we are, and we're surrendering to it. And by no means giving up on humanity. Through our surrendering, revealing the glory of humanity and revealing the glory of ourself to ourselves. And then letting it go from us to our family, to our friends, to everyone who touches the arena of our experience. Who you are is something magnificent. And until we meet again, I invite you to go in the light, as the light and with the light. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you. And the pure light within you guide you on your way. We'll be back next week on Coffee with Casper. We'll see you then. Bye for now. You go say goodbye to everybody? Look at that, I can't see your face. Look at that face. Look.